Back to back. Good to see you back, James.
Back.
Wow, this is like the quickest turnaround time we've ever done, haven't we? In terms of, because this is literally the next night of filming another podcast.
Indeed, IJ. Indeed.
Is this what it feels like to do this as like full-time work? You reckon?
I guess so. But it's good because I enjoy it. Like,
Yeah. Same. No, it's always good. But as usual, I want to switch things up with our kind of intro. What's your obsessions lately?
My
Do you have
obsessions.
any obsessions at the moment?
At the moment, I've been looking at cameras a lot.
Oh,
I've been looking at videos on like photography and videography,
Ooh.
things like that.
yes, nice. You looking to get back into it?
I'm thinking about it.
Oh,
I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
yes. So in the future, if I ever get asked to do a wedding, I can count on your equipment, right? Unlike the other wedding we did. No, that was good though.
What about your obsessions?
I have two obsessions. My first obsession is, at the moment, I love drinking more than 2 liters of water every day. I just started doing that like 2 months ago, and I already can feel the difference in terms of like just general health. So I've been drinking more than 2 liters every day, and it's become a thing where like I feel anxious if I don't. So I like very much so will look for my bottle. Yeah, this is why I have a bottle with me now everywhere.
Do you feel like you have to go visit the bathroom more often though?
I think I go a healthy amount. I think it's good that I am going more than usual, because you're supposed to go at least 6 times a day naturally. But it's not as bad as I thought. I've had a couple close calls at night where I will wake up abruptly. I'm like, oh, I need to go. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think I drank water too late into the day, or late at night, and so before I slept without peeing. So anyway, it's one of those situations. And my other obsession has been going to the park and reading the Bible.
How's that been?
That silence was so... No, it's been good. It's been good.
It's like a double healing, like spiritually and like visually, like
Yeah. That's exactly what it feels like. Just nice to enjoy the weather. I think it's just a nice change, because normally before, when I would do QT, it's just in my room alone, and I was like, why don't I go outside? Like, it's such a nice day. Why don't I spend time with the Lord in his creation, so to speak? And yeah, it's just been nice. So today I just drove up the road, found a park bench, sat in the sun, and just read and prayed
with a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't drink coffee, but I just had the word. Yeah. Last time I went to this city, and I did that. I found like a place to sit, and I drank and ate some food while I was reading, and I was like, oh, normally I don't do that.
I guess they're getting restless.
They both like squatted at the same time, which was really weird and distracting from even my peripheral vision. But anyway, speaking of, but that's my obsessions at the moment. But interesting. We have another jam-packed episode. Not one, but two guests. So before then, you've been listening to the King's Army podcast. We'll be right back.
Well, RJ.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a treat tonight?
We do. Two, I feel weird saying it, but scrumptious treats. You set me up for that. Anyway.
Yes. Let's welcome our 2 guests for today. The 2 Goliaths of One Family Church. Let's welcome Adrian and Min-sik, boy.
Woo! Round of applause. Put the dog down.
As you can see, they are 2 scrumptious treats.
Thank you.
Well, boys. Welcome.
Welcome to the podcast arena. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good.
Oh,
I like that. What about you, Adrian?
Yeah, same.
Same?
same. Good.
By the way, our sponsor for today's video is Maxim White Gold.
My gold.
Yes.
Not silver, but gold.
Yes, indeed. Let's get straight into it. Let's break the ice.
Yes.
These next 9 questions are this or that questions. So I'm going to ask you this or this, and you have to choose one or the other.
Do you have to say it together?
No, you can go. We'll just go one at a time.
Oh, okay.
All right. Question 1. Would you be 188 centimeters tall and skinny, or 156 centimeters tall and super toned?
You're already the first one.
I'm not skinny.
Or Min-sik?
Nah. we're playing. I was watching Oztag, and then the guy on the other team kept calling Adrian skinny.
I heard that, but they do that to just get into your head. But.
Oh, but it was just Adrian.
Anyways,
Focus on the question. Min-sik, focus on the question.
Ready to pounce.
I'll be 188.
188 and skinny.
same.
188. Okay. Question 2. Would you be forever bad at volleyball, or be extremely bad at volleyball for $10,000 today? You're forever bad for volleyball from today, but you receive the $10,000. Or would you be extremely good at volleyball?
How good is extremely good?
Like Olympic level.
Oh, yeah.
Then you have to go.
No, sorry. Let's just say Adrian level.
It's not that great, so I'll take the $10,000.
And just you just suck at volleyball for the rest
Yeah,
of
I'm
your life.
gonna pivot to Oztag.
I knew he was gonna say.
Alright, what
that.
about you, Min-sik? You're only good at one sport. I'm joking. You'll
Oh,
pivot.
I don't know. Like, I enjoy volleyball, so like 10,000 is
Well, you got swimming.
You guys
no, but
got
like
basketball.
actively. Like volleyball's the only active thing I'm doing, and so
So choose
It's
volleyball?
not worth. Yeah, I'd stay
Okay,
be Olympic level.
nice. All right, next question. Question 3. I asked this question to Tom yesterday. I want to hear your guys' perspective. Would you guys get married at 18 years old or 40 years old? 18 or 40?
40.
Wow.
Min-sik says 40.
Min-sik says 40.
Ooh.
Oh, actually, wait.
Probably get married at 18.
Oh, wait.
What's your reasoning if
Yeah.
you were saying 40?
Oh no, I was thinking like, you know what? No, I think 18.
18.
I said 40 because like I just assumed like you'd have kids upon marriage.
You get married at 40 or you get married at 18.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd probably go 18.
18.
I think, yeah.
What's the explanation, boys?
Why would I want to get married?
You chose it as a first gut instinct.
You chose it quicker than me.
I don't know. I feel like I'd rather spend my life with someone or a partner earlier than rather later. If it was too late at 40. Because you never know. You might not live that long.
That's true.
Same. Yeah.
Alrighty then. Question 4. Would you rather eat seafood or meat for the rest of your life?
Seafood.
Meat.
Actually, no meat.
It's copycat.
This
No,
guy.
no,
is
no.
So relying on Adrian.
My first answer is not always the right answer.
Okay.
Usually isn't it the other way around?
Yeah.
Like
No.
your first.
I love seafood, but it's just not it's not a viable option, like just for the rest of my life.
If you guys are watching this and you guys plan on getting Min-sik a birthday gift, get him like a salmon cake.
Nah, my real friends wouldn't get me that cake.
Salmon cake.
Was that an in thing or was that an in joke? What dynamic was that? You're his Bible study leader. I thought you would like add something.
Alrighty,
Anyway,
next question. Would you rather smell bad for the rest of your life or always be busting to go to the toilet for the rest of your life? So every 10 minutes you're like, oh, sorry guys, I gotta go to the toilet.
Is this taking a dump or is this pissing?
Just pissing.
Then yeah, fasting to go to the toilet.
Every 10 minutes. You say you're
So
going
you
on
have no idea how bad smell is.
But like, think about how uncomfortable you are when you're always rushing to go to the toilet. You're on a road trip. You're going to inland missions, right? And then
Nah, like
every 10 minutes you have to tell the driver, sorry, go to the toilet. And then everyone's like, oh, Min-sik.
I can avoid those situations, but if I smell, it's uncomfortable for everyone. Whereas if I'm always fussing to go to the toilet, I'm the only one that's uncomfortable.
But people just get used to your smell then.
Nah, that's not how it works, bro.
But what about you, Adrian?
Can you cover the smell with deo or perfume?
But like it comes back.
It comes back. How bad are we talking?
Like when you pass, you walk by me, I'm like, oh, this guy.
so it's like noticeable BO.
Nah, I'll go toilet every 10 minutes.
Okay, the boys like to smell good.
Yeah.
That's
See?
what they're saying. They will
Alrighty.
sacrifice bladder comfort.
Question 6. Apartment or farmhouse?
Apartment.
That's smart. That's smart.
Question 7. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Cat.
Oh, Adrian, the cat guy.
Shout out to my cat,
Oh, he has a cat. That's why.
What's your cat's name?
Bella.
Bella. Oh.
Bella.
Question 8. Chicken or beef?
Beef.
Chicken.
Interesting.
Protein.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, protein intake.
It's got highest protein.
Yeah, man. It's all about protein, Min-sik.
Unbelievable.
Even lift weights, dude.
Question 9. Our final question. McDonald's or Hungry Jack's?
Hungry Jacks.
Yeah, Macca's. But I like the burgers better at Hungry
You
Jack's.
can't say that, man. You have
That
to
doesn't
choose.
work.
If I got Macca's.
You have to be faithful to one. That's the game.
Yeah, Macca's.
That's the game.
That's the game.
What would you choose, IJ?
Hungry Jacks.
Hungry Jack's. Hungry Jack's.
I love
indeed.
the burgers.
Burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
Indeed. What about you?
Always Hungry Jack's.
Outlier.
Well.
Looking at the big picture.
Safe to say that the ice has been broken.
Brokan. Indeed.
Our next question, though, is more of a sentimental one, I guess. What has been a Bible passage or verse, or how has God been speaking to each and every one of you throughout the past
You wanna go first?
couple weeks or months?
For me, I feel like my one might be a common one. Just gonna pull it up real. So
always
my
gonna be good.
one is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 16 to 18. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. I think these days I've kind of been, I wouldn't say at a low point, but maybe just a bit distracted by the noise in society, just like working and finishing off uni right now. But for me, I've realized that praying, I've been starting to pray a lot, and I just guess that, yeah, just understanding and knowing that everything is in God's hand and it's in His will, and that everything happens in His plan and purpose. So, yeah, I think also we shouldn't just pray to God about the good things that happen in our lives, and also praying to Him in desperate times, but we should also, just pray whenever, just like a friend, talking to Him like a friend, like a father, and sharing every moment of our lives, and yeah, hopefully just bring glory to His name, and and just building the relationship. So I've started praying in my car, which I felt like has been a game changer.
Oh.
I don't know what it is, but just me, myself in the car, just talking aloud has been hitting the spot. But probably people from the outside probably think I'm crazy because they're like, what's this guy saying?
praise and worship in there. No, it looks like it can come across as normal. It just looks like you're talking to someone on the speaker.
True.
That's what I tell myself whenever I pray like that with my eyes open while I drive. I'm like, it looks like I'm talking to someone on the phone. So it's not that anyway. Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing. Min-sik, do you have something?
My one's also similar, just with prayer. So my copycat.
This episode is called Min-sik is a Copycat.
Okay, mine's Matthew 6:6.
Okay.
Oh,
Which is like, so it's like praying to your Father in secret. I haven't fully memorized it, but praying to your Father in secret, and He'll see you in secret and reward you. I don't know. I'm just always so used to praying in groups, like small groups at church, and like I don't know, the dinner setting. But then, for some reason, I'm not really praying by myself as much. And when I'm in those like big groups, I don't really pray about like personal things, because I'm just a bit like, like sometimes you just don't want to like break the mood. Like, I don't know, everyone's having a good time and then you just start praying in the group about like, personal things. So yeah, like if I'm just, by myself, I find a lot of comfort in those sort of prayers. So this verse kind of reminds me of that, which is also kind of related to my testimony as well. So it's a very strong verse for me.
See.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hear a bit more about that later. But thanks for sharing. That's really good. For me, so today, like I said, I went to the park and I was, like I said in the previous episode, which was yesterday, I continuing reading through the Psalms, and today I read through the psalm that stuck out to me was Psalm 18, verses 28 to 30, and the context of this passage is basically King David writing praise to the Lord as he's describing how the Lord delivered him from his enemies and also delivered him from the then King Saul that was after him. And so I found these verses really impactful, verse 28 to 30, where it says, "You, Lord, keep my lamp burning. My God turns my darkness into light. With your help, I can advance against troops. With my God, I can scale a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in him." Yeah, and I found that, like, out of all, because it's a really long psalm. It's like 50 verses long, but out of that whole entire psalm, those verses stuck out. And I think because it really is a verse that gives me a lot of hope, because it tells me that God is a God that shields and protects those who come to him. And it also gives me hope in the future, because his ways are perfect. And I think those really stuck out to me, because when I think about situations, I don't get as disillusioned or discouraged, because at the end, it's God that's in control and God that has the perfect plan. And so when things seem to not go the way I want, or things are frustrating, or I feel the sense of injustice, I can always rely on God's word and his character, where this passage directly says he is the God that has ways that are perfect. And so, yeah, I just found that really helpful. And one last bit, I felt like this verse totally in the New Testament has been popping up in my head a lot lately. And it's Luke 23 to 24. And he said so this is Jesus talking. "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it." And so I think that's a great passage that reminds me of the daily process of putting your flesh to death and denying yourself and bearing your cross. And so, again, I felt like God has really been highlighting that passage in my heart these last couple of months. Just keeps popping up, and I'm like, okay, I'll keep denying myself. And yeah, those are the passages for me.
Thank you. For me, today, like coming back home from work tonight, like I was driving back I don't know why, but I was thinking about my dad, and then I was thinking about the things he would say, and I remember a sermon that he shared when he came to Australia. He was talking about how he got so caught up in ministry that he realized like he was kind of putting aside worship and placing ministry at first as a first priority, and like he got kind of challenged by that. And I think that's also like one area in my life that I think is I am challenged by nowadays. How I could be doing a lot of things, say, getting involved in church, whether it is like Graceland or like small groups. But at the end of the day, I think more than the movement itself, I think my heart posture should also be right. And I think a Bible verse that I was reminded by is just Psalms chapter 2, or Psalm chapter 1, verse 1 to 2. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. I think the content that I intake is also important. And if I'm not reading the Bible or like intentionally praying in the morning, what's the other thing that I go to? It's like social media or like just the usual like Spotify app, or, you know. And I think it really impacts how I feel and move or do anything throughout the day. So I'm challenged to really, even if it takes just 30 minutes, just to put aside a time and then, really place his word and praying as a priority. But that's me.
Thanks for sharing. That was good.
What is that fake? Min-sik? What was that?
No, not fake. I know, I just don't know.
Is that how he responds in your small group when you lead him?
I'm just giving him some
Flack. Right.
It's good to see you, boys. Can you guys get closer to the mic though?
Yeah. No, so it brings us to the next part of tonight, and that is the area of how do we know you guys? As every episode, how do we know you guys from?
One family.
Church.
One Family Church, indeed. Yes. Where is One Family Church? Sorry.
2B Factory Street.
Granville.
And what time is the service?
15.
What time is the
3
service?
o'clock.
Oh, you went 24 hours. Okay, wow, that's
Come on,
fancy.
bro. Catch my drift.
Damn, what a military-esque response. No one's ever said that. Everyone always says 3 p.m. You're the first person ever to say 1500. But that's good. That's different. It's different. Yes, we know each other because we are all church brothers at One Family Church, 2B Factory Street, Granville.
Oh, no, I was going to say Granville. And then
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. You missed your chance. Anyway, so yes, we all go to that church. I guess we can, it's safe to say we've gotten to know each other for the last couple of years or months even. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it down there. What was your first impressions? Let's start with the two guests. What were your first impressions of each other? Let's go. How did you guys meet? Actually, I'm curious about that story.
My memory is pretty bad, so I have a
Okay.
hard time recalling. But from my memory, I first met Min-sik in high school days. We were playing sport, and I was friends with my mate Yumin, and then Yumin kind of introed Min-sik to me, and I saw him when we were playing Tuesday sport for volleyball.
How old are you guys?
Oh, probably like
year 10, year 9?
Oh, that late? I was thinking like year 8 or year 9. Oh yeah, no, year 9, year 10.
I didn't know you mean till like year 10.
Okay, then year 10.
Yeah, apparently knew me before. But
And then I just saw this guy playing volleyball, talking to Yumin. I was like, who's this guy? But yeah, but we didn't really talk at that time. We kind of just said hello and we kind of knew each other.
When did you guys start interacting and leaving an impression on each other?
when you came to church,
Oh, okay. Okay.
me?
Yeah, what was...
No, so when Yumin introduced us, I thought his name was Aiden. So I was like, hey Aiden, nice to meet you. And then like, I don't know, he kind of gave me like the look. Like you know how
something
Adrian
was
just
wrong.
looks intimidated to
Yes,
everyone.
yes.
Like, intimidating, sorry. Yeah. So I was a little scared. And then we versed each other in volleyball. And we were playing mixed volleyball, so it was like boys and girls.
Yeah.
And then this guy just smashed the volleyball in the girl's face, and then she got knocked out, and then she went on the ground, and she didn't stand up for like 10 seconds.
She
She did. Like, I hit her on the forehead,
Uh.
and then she kind of like dazed, kind of out of it, and then went to take it to the side, and I think she went sick bay. I think after that.
Yeah, and then she quit volleyball that day.
Wow. I don't blame her. Volleyball to the face from Adrian must be painful.
You know what's so dog? Like after he did that, usually people would be like, "Oh, like yeah, you're right, you're
Yeah.
right." But then like all of right secondary were like, "Oh."
Oh, so you guys went to the same school?
No, we versed each other. Like,
Oh,
so I went
yeah.
to Concord in that time.
And then
Right secondary.
secondary.
And then we went to Concord to
I
play
see.
Tuesday sport.
But Yumin and you went to the same school.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
then,
Yumin and I are same school,
I
same
see.
grade.
And then Yumin from church. Was
Yeah, yeah.
it? Okay. So that was how you guys got connected. And then you said church. Min-sik, your impression of him at church.
He came to camp in year 11, and Yumin invited him, and that's when we, I guess, started talking a bit more. And he just kept coming after camp, so I was like, oh, nice.
Good chat.
Were you intimidated, or you just found him like, oh yeah, he's nice?
He looks intimidating because of like sharp features, but then I'm like, oh, this guy's nothing.
how do you respond to that, Adrian?
I'm kidding. I said I'm kidding.
Like a puppy, like cowering. No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
Now, when I first came to church, I just saw this Min-sik guy, and I was like, oh, this guy, Concord boy. And then-
Concord boy.
But then we didn't really talk much, but my first impression was just like, I don't know, kind of shy. He was like a shy boy, introverted-ish. Didn't really think much. Just like, oh yeah, another Korean.
Okay, now let's move to the section because I'm your small group leader and James is Min-sik's small group leader. Let's go through that dynamic. So, Min-sik, do you remember your first impression of James? And
I think mine was high school camp, but I don't know what year I was in. I just remember James being there.
What grade? Well, how old are you? How old are you again?
01.
01.
Yeah.
So you two. You were in year 10. I was in year 12. That was a high school camp that we met at.
Yeah, that must have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So what do you remember?
So what was your impression?
He has a very deep voice. Like when
Deep
I first
voice.
when I first saw him, and I just expected him to have a very high pitched voice.
look at how unimpressed he looks.
Well, no, but yeah, it was a very deep voice. So I was like, oh, that's very unexpected. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Is that all?
I mean, I didn't talk to him. So
When did you start interacting with? When was the last you started to realize who he was?
probably one fam. Like when I finished high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe in my second year or third year, that's when I kind of started talking to him. Yeah.
I'll give you my first
Yeah,
impression
yeah.
of Min-sik.
Oh, okay.
I remember that high school camp because that was the first and last high school camp that I went to. So you were in year 10, I was in year 12, and I still remember the first kind of interaction we had was I used to dress very vibrantly as well. Like I had this pink hoodie. Do you remember when I had this pink hoodie on?
The church camp hoodie?
Yeah,
Or-
it was my own hoodie, but I wore that. It was so it was disgusting, but I wore a pink hoodie to camp, and then I wore it was the middle of winter as well, but I wore these short camo shorts. I don't know what I was thinking.
Were you wearing white socks as well?
No, I was wearing skins underneath.
Okay.
And I was one of those so dumb, but this guy comes along, and he's giggling, and then he comes up to me like, and it was just 1-on-1. He's like, James, I like the way you dress. Yeah, but yeah, he honestly meant that. You weren't joking. You meant it.
Wait, what did I say?
You're like, oh, I like the way you dress.
I said I like
you always say like, you always give like a little before you start speaking.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I like the way you dress.
Sounds like you.
But you said that, I was like, oh, thanks, man. And then were we in the same like group for that camp? I feel like we were.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my first impression. I was like, oh, this guy seems to be a just all around good boy. Gives a lot of
No, why? What?
Makes it sound.
it's the way you talk. Like
Now everyone's gonna
yeah.
listen in now.
Gotta watch the video.
So we're getting cancelled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That dynamic.
What about you, Adrian? What was your first impression of?
First impression would be at church. I think it was maybe one of your first few times that you came to church. I think Keith brought you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I think we just said hello. But I was like, wow, this guy is huge and jacked. And I was like, yeah, I got to get to know this guy. Because I just started my gym journey at that time as well. So I was like, yeah, I got to intro myself to this guy and get some tips.
Oh.
But, yeah, I just thought you just like pretty chill. Just the biggest guy in our church. Other than that, we didn't really talk much until we were in the same small group.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
First impression.
Yeah, my first impression of Adrian was I thought he gave me the impression where he seemed really disinterested in everything. Because like he never made eye contact with anything. He would always just be like, and he had the same blank expression, almost like as if he's annoyed or a bit pissed. So that's why I was really intimidated. And he was so tall. Like, I'm not the tallest person, and he's like super tall. And so already those two factors made me feel like really intimidated. And then when I got to know him, when we got, I think it was like last year when we went into the same small group and you were in my group. Actually when Marty told me that you were going to be a new guy in our group as well, I was like a bit nervous as well. I felt a bit nervous. I was like, oh man, is he going to like me? Or is he going to think I'm like this loser? Because like, yeah. But then you were so nice. So when I interacted with you, you were like actually a lot more bubbly and actually like a lot more kinder than I thought. And you actually like smiled and looked at me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he's capable of smiling. He has emotions. No, that's good. That's good." And
I'm a nice guy.
yeah, which was surprising at the time for me. But now, yeah, it makes me like think like, oh, yeah, like it's crazy that we're friends now, because I'm just like, oh no, it's cool. But look at us now,
Homies.
brownies. That's what we are. We're brownies.
What's the meaning behind brownies?
That's our small group name. Do you remember
Bible reading
it? Yeah.
on Wednesday night
Inspired
in scripture.
Excellent scripture.
Scripture.
Brownies.
What's ours, Min-sik? What's our small group name?
Soz.
What does it stand for?
Sons of Zebedee.
Soz. Sons of. So do you guys just say we're soz?
But honestly, that name is only for John and James.
If you guys get the reference or the meaning behind that Bible name, then
Bible reference, a very niche Bible reference. Okay, soz, sons of the, and brownies and soz come together. That's good. And what was, Adrian, your impression of James? Remember?
James, did you ever go to another high school camp as a volunteer? Because I feel like you did.
I don't think I did.
You didn't?
Yeah.
Oh, I might be. Okay, well,
A year 12 one?
yeah, I feel like you did. So I'm pretty
You
sure
might have
that's
volunteered.
my first memory was seeing you at a high school camp.
Oh, maybe.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
just knew you back in your rapping days. And I was like, oh, the musical James. I was like, this guy's actually a pretty good rapper.
Oh.
But also back then when I saw your brother, I was like, bro, aren't those two the same people? I could not tell the difference between you two for like a solid few months. And I was like, wow, I'm tripping. But yeah, no, I remember you back in your singing days, your rapping days.
I see.
I'm yet to like experience James in that way. I'm sad that I don't
You
think
missed
ever-
out on
well,
the-
yeah, I
you missed
missed
out
out
on
on an
the-
era.
in
Should
the
bring it back.
era of
An era of
emo James.
You know, when
emotional
I,
hardcore. Anyway.
you know when I first tried to talk to James in one fam, probably like first or second year, I kept calling him Daniel. And then every time he'd be like, it's James.
Did I?
Dude.
I don't remember that. But I guess my first impression was with Adrian was, I think this was when like my dad was still at the church, and he was walking around like the picnic tables outside. And at this point, I didn't know Adrian was Chinese. I thought he was Korean. And then, because he was hanging out with like Min-sik and Yumin and everything, and then I was walking by as well, and my dad was talking to you guys, and then you were saying how like I think I was speaking in Korean or something. I spoke in Korean to you. I remember like I think I spoke something in Korean, and then you didn't understand, and then I realized, oh, this guy's not Korean. And I remember that. I remember that moment outside in the picnic tables, but that was kind of my first impression. Tall bloke.
It's pretty Korean now.
Big Korean. Because to be honest, like you reckon he could get away with being? I reckon he
Yes.
can get
Yeah,
away
yeah.
with being Korean.
To the audience, everyone assumes he's Korean, I feel, at church. Because everyone's really shocked when they find out that you're
Yeah, they
Chinese.
are.
So this is a disclaimer, not made in Korea. Made in China. He's like the
Yeah.
rest of everyone's outfits, made in China. Well, actually, no, you were born in Australia, were you?
Yeah, Australia.
Yeah. But your ethnicity.
And then like before
Chinese.
Adrian came into the Oztag team, like I knew him for like being the volleyball guy because I see like all these like reels on Instagram with him like hitting all these spikes and him jumping so high, and I was like, And he came into Oztag, and I was like, pretty athletic dude.
Athletic dude.
Now Min-sik, what were your first impressions of AJ? This has got to be the longest first impressions ever. But we'll keep.
And we
I'll
haven't
keep it
done
short.
it
I'll
for
keep it
fun.
short. I'll keep it short. Same as Adrian. Just like, wow, this guy's very fit. Like I think when I first saw him, he was wearing a very like undersized shirt. It was very tight.
What are you on about? No, I never do that.
I was like, whoa. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
I remember precisely when I first met you. It was at William's house. And that was the first time I hung out with people at church. And I think you were like one of the first people that actually made me feel really welcome ever.
Oh.
A part of the church community. Because you were just very talkative and you seemed like interested in talking like and engaging in genuine conversation. And so I just remember that. And then you got out the guitar and started singing. And I was like, oh, you play guitar? And then you started singing and playing guitar. And I just remember that. And that's why I always say Min-sik always makes me smile. Good memory, good memory. He was
Thank you,
a
thank you.
wholesome, kind boy. And I just felt like, I remember there was an instance where I was inviting a friend for the very first time. And I instantly thought of you. And I was like, oh, can you? But he ended up flaking. But anyway, I messaged you. And then you were like so easy to be like, yeah, for sure. I'll say hello to your friend. And so I was very
He ended up
appreciative.
coming, right?
Huh?
He
He came recently, like
Oh.
a year later after the initial invite.
Oh, okay.
This was a different friend.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking of him, yeah.
No,
W.
No, not
Yeah.
a different one. But yeah, so that's why, I have a fond memory of you. That's what I remember. Yes, but speaking of how we knew each other and how we all got to know each other, we're all combined. I mean, we all are united through one thing, and that's our faith, and that's why we go to church. And yeah, I guess we would take the time to ask you boys, how did you guys come to know the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior? So Min-sik, let's start on this side with you.
Oh, me. Okay. Right. I'll try to keep it like under 2 minutes. I mean, I grew up in church, so I kind of had that, I guess, privilege of just being grown up in a church. But yeah, I don't know. Never took it seriously until after high school. Like I only went because of friends, and then when we moved churches from Belfield to Granville, that's when I kind of started going less. I'd probably go to church like once every month. And then I think that's when I kind of to start meeting new people. I like a lot of new people joined that church at that time. So like Che, Ricky, Min, Adrian, and like a couple of the other girls in our grade. So I kind of started going a bit more because I was just meeting new people. They were fun. And then, yeah, we kind of had that accountability factor, and then, yeah, just kept going, and then fast track to One Fam. That's when I started to take my faith a bit more seriously because, like, I wasn't sure why I kept going to church other than friends. So, long story short, like, I guess I did my own kind of investigation to Jesus, and then that's when I finally met him. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Adrian?
Me, so I'm not born in a Christian household. My parents are both Buddhist. I first came to this church through Min. He invited me to high school camp back in year 11. And then that's when I first met Christ. But I knew I knew of God from like primary school, like during scripture.
Oh, wow.
But like, I only did that for like maybe 2 times, and then they suddenly kicked me out. So I went to like non-scripture classes.
Oh, wow, why'd you get kicked out?
I don't know why. I just got kicked out.
Maybe like they'll ask you, are you a Christian?
Yeah, maybe. But then I don't know. I don't remember what I said. But yeah, I got booted out. So just went to non-scripture. But anyways, so I knew of him. I knew like people believed that was God up there. And then it was until high school camp, just like I reckon pretty common as well. Like I was listening to everyone's testimonies, and I was like, there's this night where everyone like kind of like sings and like praises God, and like everyone's getting teary, everyone's crying, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And I was crying as well. I was like, bro, what's going on? And I think the song Good Good Father kind of stuck out to me at that time. I'm not sure what it was, but the lyrics kind of just spoke out to me. And then I guess from that day onwards, that night onwards, I kind of wanted to seek God more. I guess I got curious of him. I wanted to also experience the same miracles or testimonies that others shared. So I guess that's what drove me to know him a bit more. Fast track. I kept going to church on Sundays, but I think at that time when I first came, I was finding it hard to understand the Bible. So I was kind of just going for a social aspect, kind of meeting friends, getting to know everyone. And then I was still like partying, like back in high school, I used to party a lot, do the worldly things. Wasn't until maybe second year uni, I think at that time, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not going anywhere. All this partying and all this stuff, like getting sick of it. And I think other factors as well. So I remember just one night, just prayed to God in my room, and I was just praying that, you know, God, I'm hearing all these miracles. When are you going to show me yourself to me? When am I going to experience you? I want to also experience the things I've heard of. And then I guess that night onwards, ever since that night, the days forward, I think God's just slowly been revealing himself to me. So I've also kind of slowly integrated myself into the church, kind of getting to know the congregation, kind of mingling with others. And I guess surrounding myself with our brothers and sisters is probably the number one tip I could give to a brother or sister that's kind of struggling in their faith. I think surrounding yourself with the right people will help you a lot, and it will go a long way. But also praying. And then, I guess that's my testimony. Ever since then, I've just kept seeking God, trying to mature in Christ, and become more Christ-like.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I do remember Adrian. I feel like Adrian's changed a lot, in my opinion. Because I think over the past 2 years, I feel like you changed a lot. Because I remember like the first season we played together in Oztag, and he had a bit of a temper, but like now it's like very calm, and now like I feel like there's a different vibe around him. And then ever since he's joined like Marty's, like your small group, yeah, very nice. Min-sik, I don't know. Yeah, but Min-sik, I've heard his testimony as well, but It's good to hear it again.
Yeah, he's not going. He's like, like a man. Yes, no, yeah. I see Adrian's growth from first. Oh, well, also just him coming out of his shell more. Like he was super shy
Yes, I was.
when we first started, and now he's like so loud. No, it's good. I like his loudness, which is probably like normal for most people, but it's loud for him, so that's a good thing. Yeah, but yeah, no, thanks guys for sharing, and it's always refreshing to hear, I guess, from our brothers and where they are in their faith and how God has been working. Yeah, I guess you guys, all three of you actually, are in a similar life stage where you're all kind of heading toward full-time or doing full-time and finishing up study. You're going to enter the workforce soon. What are some hopes or aspirations in terms of your faith and being a witness of Jesus to that circle or sphere?
Like being Christian in a workplace.
Precisely. What's something that, or so if you have shared your faith in maybe in the current jobs that you have, how's that been? Like any experiences, and if not any experiences, like what are you praying for and hoping for? How your faith will look in the workforce.
I think for me, like just being in a space where people accept you, and I think that's like pretty normal these days. Like they accept you for being, certain religion, certain belief, certain faith, certain lifestyle. Because it's work, and so if you don't accept it, you could get in trouble. But I mean, I think that also just gives me the opportunity to be a bit more open, and it's only awkward if you make it awkward. So like when people ask me what I'm doing over the weekends, like sometimes I just say like, I'm going on a camping trip with my church group, and they're like, oh, this guy goes to church. And then a couple of weeks later, they asked me about church. It's like, oh, like, are you Christian or like Catholic? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Christian. It's like, oh, I used to go to a Christian high school. Yeah, and then we just get small talk through that. So, yeah, just praise the Lord for, these occurrences. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian, what's something that you're hoping for? Because I know we've talked about this in small group, and we've always pushed the boys. What is something you're aiming?
For me, back in the days, or not back in the days, but like when I first became a Christian, I think there was this huge misconception of like, I don't know, I was very shy or scared to say I was a Christian to other people, or like I believed in God, because I feel like I thought people would think differently of me. But I've realized that people really don't care. Like they accept you as who you are, like what you believe in, and they're like really accepting. So I think from my previous job, that was the first time I've ever mentioned Christianity in front of my workplace. So I when I took leave off for the mission trip, I told them I was going to a mission trip, and they're like, oh yeah, so where are you going? What do you do? And then I was just sharing, and then like I realized that it was very chill. Like people want to know more, and like there's nothing to be ashamed of saying you're a Christian. And I think hopefully I've started a new job now. And just like it says in the Bible, the Great Commission to share the word. But I guess hopefully maybe in this new workplace, hopefully I'll be able to actively share the word somehow, or in a way that might not make people uncomfortable. Because we have a pride community group at our workplace. And I was like, yeah, that
is scary, because I'm also experiencing that. My company got bought out recently, and we're bought out during that Pride month, and my email signature was being changed to something else, and I was just had a couple questions from my manager. I was like, oh, is there any space to voice my opinion in terms of like, oh, if I have the right to be like, oh, am I allowed to just have a neutral email signature, or does it have to be that? Because I'm someone that believes a certain I have certain beliefs, and it's just something that I don't practice, and so that's why. Yeah, like that was a conversation that I felt like I needed to have, but you know, my manager said that's only just for the month, and it will change back to normal. But yeah, it's just it's hard because I also feel the kind of nervousness, because especially people who come from that kind of background tend to have a very like emotional response to rejection of their belief, and it's just hard to have like a conversation with someone without them making it feel like we're attacking them, when in reality it's just like I just believe something different, and it doesn't mean that you're any less of a person if we disagree. It's just that's what diversity is all about. Learning to respect each other, even if we disagree, we can still respect each other. So it's just, yeah, I'm still figuring that out, and I think once our company fully gets into that space of being bought out and we're integrated into the company, I want to speak to HR and be like, hey, yeah, how does that look like in terms of diversity and how we interact with different beliefs? Yeah. But anyway, James, on that topic for you, what is it like for you working and sharing your faith? I know this podcast is something that you talk about with your coworkers.
Yeah, and like a couple of them like watch this as well. So I think I did share like I have experiences where I do share like my beliefs with my coworkers during our time where like there's no customers in the store, and we get quite into deep talk, and then I think disagreements are like bound to happen as well. But the thing, like difficult thing is you guys have to work together the next day. And say like you and I disagree about something, about a certain belief. And it basically means like we have different values. And then we have a disagreement, but we still have to work together. I think understanding that the disagreement is always going to happen, but also like not impacting how we view each other. I think that's important for us as Christians, but it's also important that we, like Min-sik and our small group kind of talked about this topic just briefly as well, but talking or communicating the gospel in a way that is very gentle as well, so that we don't offend their feelings. Because I guess that's like the last thing that we want to do is like bash them about the Bible and saying you're wrong, I'm right. I think that's not our goal, but it's to really love them regardless of who they are, but in the same way being firm on what we believe as Christians. And yeah, I've had a couple experiences, and I think the guy might be watching as well. Like,
Shout out.
He's a vegetarian brother. Hello, brother. He's a vegetarian brother, and like we work together at the city store, and every Monday I get to have like a kind of a deep chat with him. And like I think 3-4 weeks ago, we had like a 3-hour chat during work, and he was saying how he became like a vegetarian, and I think that kind of spiraled into the story of like what is right and what is wrong. How can if the world says that vegetarianism is wrong, or because I explained how like say in the Middle East where they eat like a lot of meat, I told him, if you grew up in the Middle East, do you think you would have become a vegetarian? And that's kind of how like I started the question, and then we were sharing our beliefs, and he was sharing how he became a vegetarian as well, and how I forgot how he became a vegetarian, but I think that kind of led into this topic of what is good and what is right and what is wrong,
Right.
And
The ultimate truth.
and what is the ultimate truth. And I guess that's where we discussed about our backgrounds, and it's going to get very deep though. I don't want to go too deep into it, but
Right.
that's kind of my experience with sharing your belief in the workplace.
Yeah, for me, I've been working full time and in an office environment for like 10 years, and I've had like a lot of crazy stories. I think I've shared my testimony to at least 2 or 3 of my at least 4 of my coworkers. Actually, wait. Yeah, 4 of my coworkers. I've shared my full like because
Are they all non-Christian?
I would say they have a religious background, but they're not practicing Christians. I think they would identify that they believe in a God, but they still are somewhat, worldly and secular in their decision making and their morals and values. And even in the midst of that, I guess my experience of just sharing what I've done and just like sprinkling, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, and I go to church. Over the years, I do notice people, when they know you're a Christian, they kind of watch you a lot more. And so if you have like a little comment, a slip, or say something mean, like, you're a Christian, but, and you're like, oh dang it, like they have a magnifying glass where they'll continually watch you. So be aware of that as well. When you profess you're a Christian, they will read into everything that you say. So you have to be aware of that. But also, I had an experience where God blessed me with an experience where, like, I had a coworker that knew I was Christian, came up to me and was like, can I talk to you about the Bible? And I'm like, yes, sure. Like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to have this? Like, I didn't ask you. You're asking me, right? Yeah. And they're like, yeah. And then so we had they were just asking about forgiveness, why we need to miss out. I was like, wow, let me tell you. And so it was just those kind of opportunities God, I felt, really lined me up and gave me. But it's just, especially when you spend time with people and the one thing that I tried to do is to be really kind. So I just remember one morning, I just bought the whole team McDonald's for breakfast. I came in early and I go and I was like, here's a McDonald's. And everyone's like, oh, you're so nice. Like, just doing nice things randomly for people, I feel like is a good way also, not just to preach the gospel, but to act out the gospel. And that's just to be kind and loving to people in general, in random acts of kindness every now and then.
I'm surprised you had that experience when she just came up to you and said, can I talk about the Bible?
Yeah.
Did she have a Bible on her? Like,
no, because so it's interesting because her partner is she's not religious, but her partner is Catholic. And so when she visited and had mass, she had a couple of issues and questions. Like, she didn't like how things were running. And she was like, why do we need to be forgiven? And can you explain that to me? I don't get it. And I was like, sure.
Your view would have been very different to a Catholic's.
Yeah. I also had a conversation with another coworker who said, what's the difference between Roman Catholicism and Christianity? And I was like, okay, let's go. And so I went to town in a loving way. I did. Well, I was very frank and blunt in that, like, about my own convictions, about what God's word says that is different from the convictions of a Roman Catholic and the practices they have. And so I was blunt in that, like, yeah, it's not in the Bible. Some of the things that they say, whether it becomes about being a saint, like like we believe as Christians that we are all saints, followers of Jesus Christ, we're saints, but they believe that you can only become a saint when you live a life of good deeds and become a nun or a priest, and then you have to perform one miracle, and then after that, when you pass away, after 100 years, you get ordained to be a saint, and then people can pray to you. And to my understanding, I've read the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation in one go. Like, I've read it, and I've never seen that in my experience of reading the Bible. All 66 books, never seen anything of that nature to have a practice. Like, Paul is very clear. He addresses everyone as saints, and it has nothing to do with any sort of works, to my understanding. At least that was just a little snippet of that conversation is what we kind of went into.
That reminds me of Luke. That verse you just read to me in Luke, where, pick up the cross and follow me. Yeah, follow Jesus, right? Not a saint, not a pope, not any other figure, like just Jesus. And that also just ties in with, like, my verse as well, Matthew 6. Just pray to the Father in secret. Like, there's only one way to God.
Yep. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
No one comes to the Father except through him.
I didn't know you had a new job. Where'd you start?
I'm working at Dexus now.
Oh,
Texas.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a fear of getting cancelled in work? Like, getting cancelled. Do you think that's possible as well?
No.
At work?
I don't
Fired?
Yeah, he's meaning like
or like
For our
just like
beliefs
the
or-
roster?
For our beliefs. Say
Oh,
like
oh.
they
No way.
say there's like a LGBTQ like party, and then you say, I don't stand for this. I don't want to attend the party just based off my beliefs. Is that okay?
Yeah, they'll accept
Yeah, I
that.
think.
Is
I
it
think
more? do
If
you
they
think-
cancel us, that'll be like discrimination at that point. Because for our religion and our race.
yeah.
Well, what about the culture? Do you think like your workmates would view you differently, or treat you in a different way? They're like, oh, you're that guy. You're the traditional guy.
Yeah, I think it depends on the people in the situation. I think most people who don't practice LGBTQ like lifestyle, but yet, you know, are well-meaning in saying, oh, yeah, I support you guys. But I think those kind of people aren't the ones to then be very passionate if anyone disagrees, but it's the ones that do practice it and that do abide and follow it, like, you know, and full on support it. I think they're the ones that will probably start to view you differently or attach their thing. It really depends on the people, because I've had another friend who was in a work environment where he explained to me, like, he wanted to print out like a Bible verse that he printed it out on the work printer, and one of the workers got really angry. And, you know, they're not you know, at that time there wasn't really much of LGBTQ like pride and stuff. This was a while back, and it was just those group of people just didn't like it, and they even said, oh, I hate Christians, I really don't like, and it's just like their view. So I think it really depends on the people and the social temperature and the social climate of that workforce.
Again, I think we just need to be loving, like you said, IJ. Just really, you know, following God, chasing God, and, you know, doing that everywhere you go, whether it's outside work, at work. And I don't see a reason for people to see us negatively. Yeah.
James, do you get that fear either?
You'd be a lie to say I don't. Like, definitely, because I feel like it's also kind of become the norm almost, and they kind of expect you to be on board with all the like mainstream beliefs of accepting, you know, even like my experience, like even last week, I think Pride Week is coming up. Pride Week.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
A month?
Pride Month, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, one of my coworkers was looking up at like, there's like these Pride, like rainbow colored sandals, and she was looking at them. And I was like, oh, those are interesting sandals. And then she replied like, yeah, this is for Pride Month. And then, she kind of said, yay to Pride Week. And then like one of my other coworkers said, yay. But I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. And then she was like waiting for my response. She was like, yes. It's kind of like, I think I see the perspective, and like I feel like a lot of the things that social media also like distributes to our feed as well impacts a lot of the younger generations, especially our generation.
Yeah.
I think looking at the high school people now as well, like,
Yeah.
so different.
I think it's probably confusing for a high school student that goes to church and that has a family that is Christian, and then hearing, you know, the secular message of acceptance, which is really not acceptance in my opinion, in terms of how they say, if you don't accept me, I don't accept you. And it's just like, well, I think there's more to it than that. And I think that's a bit cancel culture like, if people are going to discount you as a person just because you don't agree or you don't choose to practice. And I think there should be more conversation around that rather than just the instant, like, and I feel like that's the attitude that I feel I observe. That's just my experience. Like, I just feel like if I were to disagree with anyone that has that kind of belief, then but you know, I do experience people that are in that community and they're a bit understanding. One of my high school friends actually ended up transitioning and became what they say non-binary and changed from a biological man to nothing, or to be more like a woman. And so it was interesting having a conversation with someone, but because they whatever they want to identify as, it's really hard to kind of process
Yeah, trying to be careful.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be careful, but I want to be respectful. But at the same time, I do want to stand up for my beliefs and say, I don't practice that, I don't believe that, but this was someone I grew up with and is my friend. But they were understanding enough when I was struggling to say certain things or say certain pronouns or whatever. They understood enough to be like, oh, I get it. You know, his family is Christian and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where it's an interesting conversation. But my point being is that there are people from that community that is understanding as well. But I just hope we're not afraid of each other. Because at the end of the day, if we are followers of Christ, we're called to love them and respect them, but also uphold honestly what we believe as well.
You know how you mentioned your parents were Buddhist, right?
Yeah.
I'm reminded because my friend also was sharing how he likes to pick what he likes to believe in from other religions, and he was saying how he likes I think the way he described Buddhism was how there's the afterlife and you're reborn as
Reincarnation.
as a different organism.
Yeah.
How was your experience? Like, were you able to like share to your parents that you're Christian now? Or?
Yeah, so when I was getting baptized, a few nights before, I was, this is another story. So basically on the night I was supposed to, because obviously I have to tell my parents I was getting baptized. It's a big thing. So one night I was going to tell my parents, and then I was just walking back and forth from my door to the living room. I probably did that like 100 times.
I was like messaging him, like, have you done it yet? And you're just like, no, I'm still walking.
I probably did that for 2 hours. I just walked back and forth, and I was like, oh, how do I tell her? Like, I was always scared of like how she would think, how she would react, because she's a pretty strong Buddhist. And then I guess I finally had the guts to tell her, and yeah, it actually went out better than I thought. She was like, oh yeah, it's your life. You do what you want. I understand what you want to believe in. But she did also kind of like be like, this stuff's not true. Let me tell you a story, because she loves telling me stories about Buddhism. But I guess what made it easy was also growing up, I didn't really believe in Buddhism. When I went to temple and stuff like that, when I heard the stories from my parents, it didn't really click with me. Like, I was like, oh, this is a bit too much. It's a bit fake at this point, at least in my opinion.
Okay.
And yes, I guess I didn't really have any struggles with choosing what to believe in, or like choosing like some stuff from Buddhism makes sense and I'll take that with me. I kind of just like didn't believe in any of it. And then Christianity.
So,
if that answers your question.
but did you ever like have a chance to like kind of share like your Christian views to them as well, or?
No,
Still
not
not,
really.
yeah.
I kind of just like told her I was getting baptized, going to church, and then we ended it there.
Do you know how you brought your 3 friends to the Easter service, right?
Oh, yep.
I remember like one of them was from an Islam background, like, and you kind of shared a little bit about having a discussion about religion with him as well. What was that experience like, sharing your beliefs in Christianity to non-believers who believe in a different religion, say?
Yeah. So one of them was Islam background, and another one was just atheist. So I was at my like road trip with my society at uni, and then like I don't know, there was just a chance where like we were kind of gassed out after coming back from the beach, and then I was just in a room with one friend of mine, and then he was just like, he started it. He was just like, oh, like, yo, you're Christian. Oh, like, no, not like started it. Like, just,
He
he just brought up,
initiated.
initiated the conversation. Like, oh, you're Christian. Like, yeah, I'm confused. Like, what do you guys believe in? Stuff like that. And as I'm telling him about it, that's when he walks in. And then, like, 2 minutes later, that's when the other friend walks in. So then we're just talking about our differences, because one was Jewish, I was Christian. My other friend was Islamic, and then the other friend was just atheist. So I don't know, it was just like we had a lot of fun just telling about each other's differences, and then we were just having a discussion to learn, not to argue. So it was pretty nice, and so like kind of we ended that discussion with like, oh hey, I'd love to bring you to my church one day, like if you're down, and then he's like yeah 100%, I'd be so down. So I was like very like I guess touched by that, and that's how I ended up bringing him in. But in terms of talking about our differences, like if you both have the heart to just I guess
Try to like learn from each other.
Yeah, naturally, like like you'll start to question things in a good way, and really start thinking about the important things in life. But I like there are some friends in my life that I'm really thankful for, because like they've taught me a lot of things on the way, and like I have a lot of respect for them, and yeah. What?
Adrian was wondering if he was one of those close friends of yours that you appreciate.
Answer wisely. Jokes.
wait, what? Wait, I didn't hear him. What did he say?
He said,
Anyways.
is that me?
Is that you literally just said my closest friends that I appreciate, and he's like, and Adrian was insinuating that he's one of them.
It's not funny when you explain it, bro.
I know we had to like give him the 411 after the joke, which is
Sorry, I didn't hear. Yeah. I mean, of course.
I feel bad for not bringing Yumin on board as well. We've only got space for 2 marks, so that explains it. So apologies.
Sorry,
Yumin.
bro. Top 2.
It's too busy playing
small
Diablo.
small group preferences.
I guess so. Yeah. Well,
What are you doing this assignment?
other than that, what are you guys interested in? I know like Min-sik was like into games and stuff before, but what do you guys do nowadays, like on your spare time, other than like sport? Because I know you do sport a lot. You guys both do a lot of sport. You do a lot of the volleyball organizing. You do a lot of the Moztag organizing. Both good leaders in their respective sport.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything else that you guys do that would fascinate me, IJ, and our audience? Something that you're interested
Sorry,
in?
bro. I'm
Pretty boring.
At the same time, that was in unison just now. Dang.
Should have brought on Yumin.
This is like
He would have more interest.
I was trying to milk some good stuff before when we were having dinner.
Yeah.
Both of them literally just said, "Yeah, we're boring."
Oh, I got one.
Oh, okay, here we go.
I like to do this in my lunch break a lot. I had lunch with Adrian recently. And then Adrian's like, oh yeah, I'm going back to work. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm on my way to talk to a few people.
What sort of people are we talking about?
There's a lot of JWs in front of my office.
Yeah, I remember you were mentioning it. Okay.
And I just try to take every opportunity to talk to them. And it's interesting. It's always someone different every single time. And they're from like across New South Wales. So yeah, apparently there's like hundreds of them.
And you were telling me the intensity of which you would pursue a conversation that it would continue on by what would you ask them for?
Oh, like what do I ask them?
No, what do you normally, they never respond, but what did you ask?
No, I mean like a couple of days ago, like I was talking to this couple, and then like honestly, they were like one of the most genuine people I've met. They're very kind, compassionate, and like willing to listen and everything. And then there's also people that they like when I question them on something, they're just like shaking their head, and then like they'll just jump to a different verse that is not the verse I kind of showed them. So I'm like, oh, like what do you think of this verse? And then they're like, oh, but if you see in this verse, and they just jump to a completely different part of the, and it's not like even related.
And is it read in the right context? Is it understood
No, not
in
at
the
all.
right
Not at all.
structural tone and everything like that? None? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are people that understand that. They're like, oh yeah, I see. Like, so I have a mixture of different experiences when I talk to these people. But it all comes from heart. Like I go to just I want to really see what they believe.
Yeah.
And if they really believe it in their heart, or if they just believe what they're told. Because not sure if you guys know, they have this website called jw.org, and I went on the website, and like, can I just say it's one of the like best websites I've ever seen. As in, like, sorry, the way it's designed, it's so like neat, professional, and like just the way you navigate through it is like almost immaculate. And I think that's the dangerous part, because they heavily rely on like the Watchtower material and like their website. So if I question them on something, they go straight to the website. They're like, oh yeah, I see your point. They get their phone, they're pressing a few things, and they're like, yeah, so we believe that, and they're just reading off a script.
Right. So their vision statement, their mission statement is all kind of there.
Yeah. So yeah, and
It's like well rehearsed.
yeah, and just the material on the website is just, when you read it, it sounds very like, it sounds legit. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It sounds legit, but yeah.
When you say legit, do you reckon it's still like vague? It's an impressionistic language, but with like, it's very vague still. How would you describe the thing?
Like, for example, when they talk about like, you know, the resurrection of Jesus, like what they write on the website, I'm pretty sure it's like it's sourced from somewhere else, and so they take things and like make their website look legitimate, and then they start putting in things that are different to what we believe.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's where the danger is. Yeah.
There's a lot of old books that are kept out of the 66 that I guess our Bible is formed of, and there's a lot of crazy old scriptures out there that isn't considered. Like I remember I was just watching these YouTube videos on like text that the church rejected because it just wasn't either God inspired. And some of the stories was like, there was one text that was claiming that it was the time during Jesus's years as a child, and it was saying like stories of how Jesus would kill other children because of his powers. It was so like dumb. Some of it sounded more fan fiction, but these were written like in ancient times and claiming to be a part of the gospel, and these were the books that were cut out. But yeah, there's just a lot of crazy stuff out there, and I can see how people can take ancient texts like that we don't, as Christians, as Presbyterians, don't accept into our scriptures. And I can see how other, I guess, variants of Christianity or other denominations of Christianity can sometimes take those texts and form it into their belief. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I always go so over time on my lunch break. Like it always ends up being like a 2-hour lunch break.
Yeah. I remember you telling me you got like you would even get to the point where you would ask for their emails and then continue the email conversation, then they wouldn't respond.
Yeah. What I learned was when I had my very first talk with them, I was bringing up like 6 different points. What I learned is just, focus on one, and then, when they see the flaws in just one of their, beliefs, that's when they can start questioning other things. Because like I mentioned, as soon as they, I guess, as soon as they get questioned by something, they go straight to the Watchtower. So if I'm able to just, just share, one, I guess, flaw that I came across in their, website, I think that really opens their hearts. And for example, wait, do I have time? Can I share?
Go ahead.
Like they believe that Jesus is created, so that so they will go to the verse where it says that he's the firstborn. I think it was in Colossians, I think. And yeah, they're like, yeah, it's firstborn. So firstborn means like you're the first one, created, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
I suppose if I'm the oldest in my family, I'm the firstborn in that family. But
yeah.
King David was called the firstborn, but he was like the youngest.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He was the youngest of 8. And so I'd be like, oh, like what does firstborn mean here? And then they're like, oh, that's a good, and then they go to their website or whatever, but then they can't answer that question.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to, you know, put them on the spot and make them look bad or embarrass them, but it's just like, like let me tell you what I think, because you know, firstborn doesn't mean like first one created, like first one born in the family, but like in this verse and chapter, it's talking about like the highest position, right? David was the what was the word, like the highest king, like highest position, like of, I guess, the earth, like of the kings. And so
like he was anointed by God.
yeah. And so that's, we're talking about that in this. And then they're like, aha, and that's when they like read something on their watchtower. They're like, oh, this is talking about Jesus. And I was like,
Yes.
and I was like, no, it's David. And they're like, oh, no, like it's Jesus. And I'm like, you know, let's read together. And then like, it's David. So I was like, you know, like please just read the chapter, because I know, because we're reading at Psalms at this point somewhere. That's where David's mentioned the firstborn, and I told them, like, I know Psalms is, a lot of it talks about, you know, Jesus's, you know, prophecies, or like, you know, what's coming. But if you just read this chapter, like, it's clearly just about David and his family and the covenant that, you know, God gave to David and his family. And so this verse is definitely about David. So yeah, just have a read. And then they take that and they're like, yeah, I'll do that. But then, like, yeah.
No, that's interesting, because you don't really realize how people interact, different denominations or different variants of Christianity. You don't realize how much people are invested in the holy text that they claim to believe in. And it just shows the testament of the difference between our church and our churchgoers, and how we read God's word and interact with it, as opposed to someone else that seems like that I'm not saying that all of them are like that, but the ones that you were describing, they rely heavily on a website rather than their own time wrestling with God's word and understanding. But okay.
So Min-sik, when are you going to become a missionary?
Hey, you don't need to go to another country. Let's break down that stigma. Like, our mission field is anywhere you are. You don't need to go to another country to become a missionary. If anything, being in Australia means that the countries are coming to, like, the nations are coming to us. You know how much untapped, like, people that haven't heard the gospel that probably just live in Sydney, or other, like, migrant families that come here.
I'll rephrase that joke. So Min-sik, when are you going to become a pastor? Graceland pastor.
Yeah.
Martin, this guy's the next candidate. Adrian, Min-sik's done a lot of talking today.
Adrian's got more field experience than me, so I would nominate Adrian.
Oh gosh.
How has dating been like, and how has that helped you kind of grow towards Christ in some way, or?
Yeah, I think, for people who don't know, I am dating a sister in our church called Julie. And I guess this whole dating journey has been very, very beneficial for me. Obviously, it's in God's plan for me, but I think she has definitely helped me mature in Christ a bit more. And I guess I should be the one leading in this relationship. But for the time being, she kind of has been leading and kind of driving me more towards God and kind of keeping me more accountable. And I think it's my responsibility now just to kind of grow in the word and to learn more and to hopefully one day lead. Because the male should be leading.
Yeah, you're on the right track. You have a heart to want to do that. Just keep doing what you're doing. I think over dinner I was really touched about what you said when I asked you, now that you're going into full-time work and you have a bit more time, what are you going to fill your time with?
Yeah, I told IJ at dinner, I said I wanted to meet more brothers in our church, one-on-one, just like in my spare time, now that I don't have to, stay up doing assignments. Hopefully just catch up with other brothers and see how they're going in their faith.
Adrian will shout you food.
If that's the reason you come out, so be it.
Oh, man of God.
Just a drink.
Oh, Min-sik, you didn't say that though. You didn't say that. He said it.
Gaslighting. But yeah, no. To answer your question, dating has been very good. I think, although it's, I don't know. I guess bad to say, but like, I don't know where I'm going, but like, kind of like, it shouldn't be the reason why I'm growing closer to God through dating. I guess, but in this case, it has been. But
Because there's that conception of like, you have to be completely ready to start dating. Because that's kind of how like I asked that. Would you rather marry when you're 18 years old or 40 years old? I asked that question to Tom yesterday, and he said, "You'll listen in the podcast." He said he was when he's 40 years old, and I think people have like different opinions on like when you're ready to date as well. Could you grow, or do you have to be completely ready before dating? Could you grow whilst dating, or do you have to completely be ready before dating? And I guess, yeah, people have different opinions, so I'm just interested to hear. Also, like, do you guys think, like, just on, like, a Christian dating, like, a non-Christian? I'm not saying you're a non-Christian, brother. This is a completely different segment, but, like, what are your thoughts on a Christian dating a non-Christian? And I don't know, because like, I've seen this with like my friends as well, my Christian friends, and they say, "Oh, I'm dating." What's this?
just searching up a
Yeah,
Bible passage.
I think I know what passage.
Do you know what passage I'm talking about?
Yoked?
Yeah, do not yoke
that's
with
exactly what
unbelievers.
I'm.
Yeah.
I was gonna look that up.
So let me complete the question.
Yes.
And the Christian person says, "Oh, I'm bringing this person along, and I'm gonna transform them into a Christian." Do you think people can change people?
I mean, we've seen it happen, right? I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying like that's the approach. Like, you know, oh, just because it's happened, therefore, like, we can do it
Yeah,
too.
because we see it multiple times. Like, it happens.
It's in our church, yeah. Like, there are like very like beautiful couples in our church, and you know, they've had a story of, you know, Christian and non-Christian dating. But I think for us, like, we even had like a kind of seminar kind of thing recently, and like, we want to really encourage for like our, I guess, circle of, you know, people not to really do that, because it's just like, I don't know, I'm struggling to find the words.
Yeah, I agree on that sentiment. I went to another church where a woman shared her testimony where she married a non-Christian, and they were together, like, she's in her 80s, and you know, on his deathbed he ended up coming to Christ.
Yeah.
But she said, if I could do it all again, I wouldn't marry a non-Christian. She just said that, showing, I love my husband, but I would never do that again. I would never do that. Just because yes, there are cases where people can come to Christ, but there are cases as well that you see now that don't. And also in the Bible, we have so many stories of how, you know, King Solomon was led astray by wives of different beliefs, and he was led astray by their beliefs. And so I just feel like, why wouldn't you want to? If the most important relationship to you is God, that's your number one relationship, shouldn't the person that you're being with have the exact same sentiment? Because at the end of the day, you're going to both want this marriage, not because you want each other to love each other more. You're going to be in this marriage because you want the other person to love God more. At the heart of it, our marriage is going to be built on Christ Jesus. And if you don't have that, I would then be like, well, at the end of the day, if you're looking to a non-Christian, you're going to have to ask yourself, are you going to bow down to God, or are you going to bow down to them?
I think that makes sense.
I've had a conversation with one of my family members about it, and let's just say they didn't like what I had to say. And I had to kind of apologize. But anyway, that was how confronting it was, because I was just like, that's what my mom told me as well. And that was one of the reasons as to, also I had someone that I liked for like 11 years growing up, and she was a Roman Catholic. I was a Christian. but she wasn't just a nominal Roman Catholic. She was devout. She was devout. And so, and I was pretty strong on where I am as well. And so I had to say no, because at the end of the day, my mom always hammered that. It's like, are you going to bow down to God or are you going to bow down to them? Because essentially that's the decision that you're making. And so I was like, okay. And so I said no. So that's what happened. Yeah.
That must have been a very like difficult, I guess, decision for you.
Yeah, it was.
Because at the same time, like you have emotions and you feel like your flesh is saying, I like this person, and then
But then the other side is saying, but God is telling me, am I enough? Am I enough for you? Because even now, that's still the same question that I ask myself, going through singleness and wanting to be in a relationship, but it seems like God hasn't put that on the table at the moment. And so it's always constantly being like, but God, you are enough. That's the internal conversation that I'm having with God every time I question it. But yeah, I would just say, no, I as much as we can give examples of how it could work, at the end of the day, who is God to you is the deeper question. Well, deep.
I guess I just want to ask like one final question to these boys. Like, what does a future look like for you? What's in plan? What's in store? What's on your mind? Starting from Adrian, I guess.
Future.
I guess next 5 to 10 years.
Next 5 to 10 years. Wow, that's very far.
Next 5 years, no one.
Next 5 years. Well, I'm finishing uni now, so it'll be that full-time life. I don't know, maybe obviously try to get a better job. But I guess,
You just got one, bro.
yeah, true. But it's not like accounting firm. It's not really related to my degree.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Like working your way up.
working my way up kind of things, and I guess maybe try to get more involved in church a bit more still. Probably attend a bit more inland mission trips.
Oh, we should have touched on
Yeah,
that.
I
Actually, we
have
should have. Anyway.
Shout out. And then mission trip. They're
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
trip right now.
Yeah. Shout out, praying.
Suffering in the cold.
Yeah, just trying to connect with the brothers out there. I feel like we have a very good community out there. And we already have a very good relationship that we've built from prior years. So I think just continuing to develop that and kind of growing our relationships with them, because we should surround our brothers and help each other out. And I guess personal, maybe in the next 5 years, marriage. Yeah,
Good man.
steps.
not sure when, but
It's in the works kind of thing.
It's in the works.
It's in the works.
In the works.
Oh.
Whatever that means.
Start saving up.
What about
Oh
you, Mitch?
man.
Me, I'm gonna graduate this year. So I'm sorry, finish my studies this year. So yeah, just working. But I wanna like, I'd say I'm pretty busy at the moment, just with my like life. I wanna kind of keep it that way after, like, just not just work and then go home and then next day work again. Like I wanna kind of like Adrian touched on. Like stay involved in the church, or if not, be more involved. And just, meeting people, meeting good people.
I want to encourage you boys to start discipling the younger men. You should start doing that, y'all.
They don't take me
We're the
seriously.
young ones right now.
No, you're not.
No, not anymore.
No, you're not. You guys are old. Yeah. But no, thanks, Sharon. No, that's good.
We're
That's
the
good.
young ones now, Adrian.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that should be on that note. I think we should finish on that note, just thinking about the future, thinking about the future generation, and thinking about now you guys are getting more free time. All of you boys. I think it'd be great to start to think about how you can fill your time in the future generation of sharing what you've learned with God and your walk with God to the year below you, and how you could point them, because they're probably in the critical stage, rather thinking where they should they stay at church or go. But here you guys are, being that maybe that word of God that they need, that confirmation. So let's look into those spaces and really pray about those opportunities. But on that note, guys, what a fruitful, great, fat podcast. We just went everywhere today. Went everywhere. I felt like it was, and we touched on topics at a good
I enjoyed it.
rate. You enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Not bad for a first podcast.
Yeah. You boys were both pretty nervous coming in when you were telling me.
Low key, yeah. High key.
I wasn't.
What a liar.
You're a liar.
But anyway, you've been listening to the King's Army podcast with your host IJ
James.
and your guests.
Adrian.
And Min-sik.
Till next time, God bless and stay classy.